Halli Hello everyone and welcome to a new video. I am Jisary and today you will be accompanying me on the way to setting up a new comic project. Drawing comics has always been a favorite of mine. When I was still in school, I always dreamed of becoming a manga artist. To make this dream come true, I practiced a lot and participated in many drawing contests. Well, obviously it didn't work out, as you are seeing this video of me and not a professionally drawn comic. But even though I didn't become a paid comic artist, my love for drawing remained. A few years back, I set up a comic called Katakura. The plan was to have a more or less forever ongoing comic that I can always come back to when I want. I planned the story out, made a rough setup of the main characters, and just started. Needless to say that I never finished it. Setting up a giant comic project, not knowing if it ever will be finished, wasn't working well for my motivation. And thus followed a long art slumber that also consumed my drive to draw comics at all. But with the revival of my channel and my re-flourishing motivation to draw, I am now ready to start anew. This time I will do it differently though. Having a project always ongoing is just frustrating, both for me as an artist and for the reader as well. Would you like to read a comic you know will never finish? Yeah, me neither. This is why my new project will be different in structure. I will not draw a giant Tolkien-esque mythos about a hero's journey, but rather tell smaller stories within a broader setup, following the same characters. Like this, I will always have something to draw, while I also have regular ends to the story. Win-win for everyone. And the setup of this comic project is what we will be starting in this video. There will be multiple parts. This video will be about the main characters and their stories, and the next video will be about the general setup of a comic project, what you need to prepare outside of story and characters, and some general tips and learnings that occurred to me within the 25 years of drawing comics that I have on my back. So, let's get cracking! Here we go! Before we go into the character design, I need to share some more backstory for context. I mentioned my old comic Katakura. For the reasons I already stated, I decided not to continue with it, but to do something different. However, since I am also reviving a lot of my former characters, I went back to some of my former comics as well. As I told you, I have a lot of them. Back in my channel revival video, I shared a tiny snippet about a little animal called Ninomocon. The Ninomocon Crisis was a comic I created for a competition many years ago. It was about these two girls that were supposed to watch the Ninomocons, but got into a fight because they were so bored and as a result destroyed the fence around the Ninomocons, which in turn led to all Ninomocons escaping. As punishment, they were tasked to bring them all back, all 150 of them. I never intended to continue their story, but while thinking about my former work, I came to the conclusion that the space premise would work great for what I want to achieve. Small stories with one or more characters at the core, and it also fits into my plan to stay within the comedy genre. So I decided to take this opportunity and redesign this comic idea properly and make it my new comic project. The first main character is called Jisary, and yes, this is where I deviated my channel name from. I am not sure I will keep the name for her, but for now let's stick with it. For comedy, it is always important to have funny flaws that you can play off of. For Jisary, her flaw is her actual character versus the character she would like to portray. She wants to be this brooding, cold main character with a mysterious past that everyone is drawn to. So she basically wants to be Cloud Strife from Final Fantasy VII. But the problem is that she's pretty choleric, especially when she's not taken seriously. So I will mostly draw her in cool poses, but in the comic she will often break out of this role, following her heated character. I have to admit that this is less me designing her character, as I already know exactly what I want to do here, but I still need to figure out the details, which is what we are doing now. The setting of the story is fantasy, but it is inspired by the real world to increase the ability of readers to identify more easily. Jisary naturally has fire red hair, but since she wants to be the cool guy, she colors her hair light, cold blonde. She's a fan of a famous samurai in this world. This is why her clothes and her choice of weapon are mildly Eastern inspired. I will probably add a little action to the comic here and there, but the comic will mostly be humorous and about being in funny situations. So the katana-like sword is more decorative and will not need a lot of story or design. It is more a prop. For contrast, her eyes are pretty dark. And to indicate that she's a redhead by nature, she has a lot of freckles. She's also pretty thin and not too tall. For her hair, there are a few options we could do. It needs to fit to the mild Eastern influences. I would assume that she ties her hair together and that it's very clean looking with short bangs. And there she is. That is our new Jisary. And at her side is Lani, her best friend. She's pretty much the opposite of Jisary's hot-headed nature. She is calm and chill. She's a bit of a free thinker, very connected to nature, but she's also simple-minded and even naive at times, which leads to issues as well. She tries to avoid conflict and likes fixing things. She wants things to be in order and oversees dangers pretty often, but if she notices them, she gets frightened and unable to move. As she likes order, she dislikes broken things. As a result, she spends a lot of time fixing, which makes her handy with a hammer and also a little muscular. She's also handy with a spoon as she likes cooking. Compared to Jisary, she's quite tall and a bit less feminine. The old Lani had red hair for some reason. The new one will have darker hair with a bit more soily tones, making her appear more in tune with life. I generally think having her colors a bit more in the natural area makes sense. She's always ready to repair, so she wears an overall and her weapon of choice is a small hammer and a cooking spoon. For her hair, I want to keep the woolly thickness that I also had for her originally. She isn't paying a lot of attention to her appearance, but to be able to concentrate better on building and cooking, the hair needs to be out of her face, so something like a ponytail or maybe a hat makes sense. A bandana might be cool as well, a little like a mechanic. And big boots to round it out. And there she is, this is the new Lani. Always important when you have more than one main character is to see how they work together. So we will make some scribbles and put them together on a plane to see how they look as a group. So let's create something real quick and check. Yes, I think that looks great. It is funny, they look very different from the originals, but also kind of the same. As if we took their core elements and just dialed them up more. I still see my old characters in the new versions, brings a little tear to my eye. I will not share their complete backstories in this video to not spoil anything. I am not sure yet how much of their stories will be part of the comic, so let's be safe here. But know that I have their complete backstories written down and figured out. I have also a lot of ideas for side characters, but I will only design them in detail when I need them. For now I want to start simple and concentrate on our two heroines. And this concludes the first part of this video project. Let me know how you like these design-focused videos. If you enjoy them and want more, I will share my side character designs in the future as well. As I said in the next video, I will share with you what other work goes into preparing a comic project like this, as well as a list of the most important learnings. So, the next one will be a bit less creative but more educational. I hope I will see you there. Until then, I will take my leave. As always, thank you so much for watching. I have a lot of fun creating this content and I hope I managed to share it with you. Let me know if you want to see any other art-related content from me. Stay safe everyone, take care and be cozy. Until we meet again.